Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about Dracula by Bram Stoker. I read this book for my book club. I have a lot of things to say about it because we discussed it, because it's a book club. And Bram Stoker has issues. Okay, before I get into actually discussing the book, I'm just going to talk a bit about the background and stuff. Dracula is a novel written by Bram Stoker in 1889 or something, I believe. Something like that. It's around that time. It's about this Dracula, the villain, is this dude called Count Dracula, and he's a vampire. I feel like everyone knows about this. It's one of the most, it's one of the earlier depictions of vampires in fiction, and I believe he's credited with popularizing writing about vampires, so there's that. I will be getting into spoilers, but I will give a spoiler warning before I start talking about the spoilers. So let's just talk about this guy who... Okay, the book starts off with this dude, Jonathan Harker, arriving in Transylvania and going to Count Dracula's castle where he lives. And the first bit of the book is sort of about that. It's all... The way it's written is it's basically just journal entries. So everything you find out, it's through the other people's journals in the story. So Jonathan Harker arrives in Dracula's castle, and it's creepy, etc. And then after that little segment is over, it moves on to people who are in London, and they're I don't know, they're fucking doing things in London, and then Dracula shows up in London. I'll get into the spoilers now because I feel like it's hard to discuss what I think about this book without spoilers. What I didn't like is that it starts off as one genre and then it ends up in a different genre, and it's like I was promised something and it's not here, so I don't want this anymore. And it starts off as a horror. This thing is crooked and it really bothers me. It starts off as a horror kind of thing because Harker is in the castle and being creeped out by all of Dracula's weird shit. There's this one part where he climbs down the wall like a lizard. I don't know why I give spoiler warnings, because I start off with the spoilers at the beginning of my videos. Anyway, he climbs down a wall like a fucking lizard, and it's the most bizarre shit in the world. That bit genuinely made me start laughing. There were these three women who are vampires, and they eat a baby or something. At least I feel that's what's implied, is that that's what happens to the baby. And yeah, it's creepy, it's good, it's actually very homoerotic. But I'll get into that later. And after you get past the... I don't know if I like this lighting that much. I'm gonna... hold on. Okay, whatever. So after it kind of gets past the bit at the castle, the whole London situation is a lot more sci-fi, or what was sci-fi for back then. Cause it's people get bitten and stuff, but then they're trying to figure out what's wrong with them and stuff, and I'm just I don't really care. I want to be horrified. That's why I'm here. But then it they don't horrify me. Why my phone is like useless. Okay. Fam. Okay, you know what? I hate this lighting. See, when I'm like up close, it's fine. Okay, I'll just sit at the edge of my bed like this, and then everything will be fine. Okay, so, what? Yeah, so that's like one of the things that I didn't really like about this. But the next thing that I didn't like super a lot was kind of the way that, the way that Stoker treats women. It's basically like there's this character Lucy who's shown to, like, as soon as she gets bitten, they're just like, Lucy is a seductress, she is not a good Christian woman. And I was just sitting there like, I get it. You don't like Lucy, like what did she do to you? And then Mina, when she gets bitten, it's like she like turns into this, I don't know, she's like fine, even though Lucy was like losing her mind and shit. And like when they're like trying to cure Lucy because they like don't realize that it's like Dracula and they just think she's like ill, they give her blood transfusions, and I'm just like, it's just so it's like the way that he like writes about that, it's like they're giving her their like life force, and I'm just like, I get it, she's a vampire, but like don't like how odd. And Mina is literally just like Lucy's like promiscuous and stuff. There's like before like Dracula comes to like that squad in London and they get introduced to like all of his like shenanigans, Lucy is just like, she's like, oh, I want to marry like all these guys and I like can't decide, and Stoker's like, see, gross, terrible, I hate her. And I'm like, man, what did she ever do to you? And it's just, yeah, it's just kind of, it's weird to read about. And Mina, on the other hand, is like completely flipped, and she's like, mom. She's just like a mom. She's like younger than a bunch of the men she's mothering, but they're just like, nope, she's like, I worship her. She, like, when she gets bitten, they're like, I worship her. When Lucy gets bitten, they're like, Lucy is like she's sexy, but she evil. And Mina is like sexy, but like also a mom. I don't know. It's just, it's weird. I put this a lot better when we were like discussing this, but like, it's just weird, okay? It's weird. This guy has issues. And we talked about like Renfried or whatever his name was for a while, and like basically what the squad, the London vampire squad, decides is that Dracula is like Satan's or something, demon, whatever, not holy, Christian, etc, etc. So what they, so like what, like I guess when Lucy gets like turned into a vampire and stuff, it makes sense that, you know, she would be like demonic, but that same thing doesn't happen to Mina because she's too, I don't know, pure good or something. And yeah, the way that like, what's it called? Yeah, just like the way that he writes women, it's just so, it's like, I feel like he's like coming to me and he's like, listen, there are two kinds of women. There are whores and then there are moms. Like, that's what I felt like he was saying. And it was just really, That's kind of why I found it really hard to read this book, because like it would get to any part with like any of the women and I'd be like, listen, Bram, I know you have like mommy issues. I don't know who broke your fucking heart, but like, relax. Your experiences are not universal. The amount of times that Freud came up during our discussion was like way too many times. I also just like personally, I feel like there was a lot of homoerotic subtext. Just cause there's like when Harker is like in the castle, there's this one part when Dracula is like to the women, he's like, no, Harker is mine or something. And just like, that is so gay. Like imagine if this book was just like about like him being gay with his vampire boyfriend. Like, what a better, did I say film? I don't remember. It what a fun thing to do, you know, to like, I don't know, I feel he made the vampires so sexy, and then he made Dracula like super weirdly, honestly possessive of Jonathan Harker, because like it was just, at some points I was like, dude, that's gonna be like a plot point that like Dracula wants to like do him. But then it wasn't, and I was like, I was kind of shook. I was like, he what? So yeah, there's that. There's also just, there are a bunch of characters. There's Dr. Seward, who is just, he's fun, I guess. My favorite is Van Helsing, because he's just like, he's very pure, like of heart. Like he's just so like full of love, and I'm like, you're like a solid dude. There's this one part in like later in the book when they like come to like kill the vampires and stuff, and Van Helsing, it feels like he just turns to the screen. Like, I know it's not a movie, but it feels like he turns to the screen and he's like, this is the message. Here's some social commentary. Here's some information about vampires. Here's how we should live our lives. And I was like, Bram, like, I don't care. I was like, I feel like he just, you know, suddenly he's just writing the book to like tell me these things, when he could just have easily have written an essay, and then he wouldn't have had to write about vampire. Like, you would think that if someone is writing a book with a message, that the message would like come across in the story. And like, you know, maybe it would have if Bram Stoker didn't spend like, you know, spend so much time hating on women and so much time being like turning to the reader and being like, so this is what you should take away. This is like, here's the moral of the story bit of the story, like a fable or something when you're a kid, and they're just like, okay, so what's the moral of the story? And Fran was like, I'm gonna tell you. And yeah, it's odd. I thought that was odd. Also, the part where the vampires actually die is so anticlimactic. I was really disappointed. I was like, we've been building up to these vampires for like a whole book now. And they just like died. And I was like, that's it? Which is very, you know, it's just like that there could be more. I feel like Dracula would have been a lot better as a story if it was just like straight up horror, and the whole thing was just Jonathan Harker in Dracula's castle in Transylvania, and just like getting more freaked out like every single day. Like, something happens. It starts off like super not suspicious, and then like over the course of the book, it's like Dracula is just like keeps convincing him to stay longer, and Bram is like, what the Bram, and Harker is like, what the fuck, and he's just like, no, why don't you stay? He goes into his room, and like Dracula's like in his room going through his shit, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And Dracula's like, oh, I was just, I don't know, something that Dracula would say here. And like that, I feel like that would be a lot more fun, because that was like, I was actually terrified, or not terrified, but I was actually like super creeped out during the first couple of chapters that take place in Dracula's castle, because it's like those are actually like super freaky. And then Bram is like, I'm just gonna Uno reverse card, and then he just like changes like the way that like he just changes the way that the story is like working. It's like, it's no longer scary. Like when Lucy gets sick and she's like clearly turning into a vampire, like I wasn't scared. I was just like, she's a vampire. I know, I get it. Like, what do you want me to do with this information, Bram? What do you want me to do with it? Do something cool. Make him gay. We discussed this for a bit, about like how Freud, look at me forgetting character names, how he like might, because he was like, you know, being like super creepy and like idealizing Dracula, and then nothing even happened to him in the end. Like he didn't do shit. He's not relevant to the plot. So yeah, so we were just kind of discussing like how that could have been like Stoker's internalized homophobia and shit coming out of that. Because dude, Stoker needs to understand that Dracula is sexy, and he clearly wants to fuck Jonathan Hart. I'm sorry, he does, okay? I don't really know what this video is turning into, but okay, time to conclude, because I've been talking for a while. Here's the conclusion. Dracula is gay. I said so. Mina deserves better than Bram Stoker as an author. Lucy did nothing wrong. He just hates Lucy. Like, he just hates her so much. And Bram Stoker needs to like figure out his mommy issues and stop writing Mina to be like a perfect mom character. And it's so weird. It is so weird. She's just like the part where she's like turning into a vampire, and she's still, they're all like, oh, Mina, and they're like worshiping her. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, that is the conclusion. This book was weird. This book was weird. I think it would have been better if it was a different book. I gave it 3 stars because I didn't love reading it that much, but I like enjoyed talking about it a lot, because we literally just like, our whole discussion was just making fun of Bram Stoker, and also like a weird amount of Freud, because yeah, okay, that's it. Thank you for coming to my channel. I have an outro now because my friend Laura at LauraCon, I'll like link her channel in the description, made me like an outro thing. So now I have an outro. So thank you for the outro. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go now.